Welcome back, everybody, to the ESL Hearthstone Legendary Series. Our next match will be a really fun one. We have XiaoGz versus Brian Kibler of Brian Kibler Gaming. This joke won't get old for me for a while, so for those who feel like it's insufferable, deal with it. But for those who enjoy it, you're welcome. Let's take a look at the bracket to see where we currently sit for anybody just tuning in. We have Lothar, who just defeated Max 3-1, and Lothar played pretty well. It's probably the best series I've seen him play in a long time, and I've been watching Lothar for a little bit under a year now, so I'm actually pretty impressed with how he's been able to progress so far.
Yeah, really impressive play against a strong player in Max, and this next matchup I'm looking forward to a lot. Xiao, we saw him play yesterday in the Challenger Finals for the ESL Legendary Series, coming from the open bracket, and making it really far, making it to the top 4, and then of course the top 2 from yesterday, and he played exceptionally well. I think he was the winners bracket finalist, so he went from winners to winners, and
that's right.
That's just really impressive stuff. He's on a big winning streak. I'm sure he's confident going into today, but you never know what Brian Kibler is going to bring out.
We don't, because Brian was releasing decks that he said he's just playing for fun, right? His Dragon Master deck, that was what he's known for at Magic the Gathering, and he tried bringing it over to Hearthstone. To mixed degrees of success, he's been tinkering around with it. I'm not sure if he'll bring it today, but if he does, can you imagine the swag points that he'll earn with the community? Just on the last week possible before Goblins vs. Gnome comes out, he busts out the most wild deck possible to try and shake things up. I'm pretty excited because as much as we'd like to see Brian as well construct cool GVG decks, he's also more than capable of constructing cool decks in the current metagame.
Yeah, and his experience in card games in general really help him with his deck building skills, and even though he's playing fun decks like the Dragon deck, he still refines them to be able to be played on a competitive level. And maybe not the best. That Dragon deck seems a little bit slow.
It just needs to work once. And you know, it has to work on ladder, and he says it's worked on ladder before. And I know Brian was talking about how he wants the format to be more similar to the ladder experience as opposed to tournament experience. I had a pretty long conversation with him about this at BlizzCon as well. So it seems like he's definitely on board with more of this format. Maybe it's not perfect because we're still learning the ins and outs of it. But for the most part, it seems to be working decently at the moment. In the meantime, XiaoGz, he's a guy who also brought his own flavor of unique decks, but he was still playing Hunter as far as I remember correctly. He wasn't playing Warlock, but his Hunter had some interesting choices. Sea Giant to be mixed in, as well as a few other interesting choices like Cult Master, which always people are split on in terms of its viability. I want to see what XiaoGz is going to bring today. Is he mixing it up? Is he going to bring much of the same thing? Is he tired from last night because he played until 4 a.m. only to disconnect and have to resume the final some other time?
Yeah.
I don't know. These things could all be factors playing to next series.
Yeah, the Sea Giant was a really interesting choice, and it was a little bit inconsistent in how well it did in some of the matches. In one game, it was just pretty deadly. And, I mean, if you make it into the winners bracket finals and then just make it all the way in just because of that, he didn't lose a series yesterday as far as we know. Again, the actual finals was played off because the top 2 qualify, and he did disconnect. But that Shaman, or sorry, the Hunter with the Sea Giants was just really impressive. And we didn't even get to see the Shaman deck much because both the Shaman games that we saw him play, they ended really quickly in his favor. And so we weren't sure.
They were races.
They were races, yeah. And it seemed like a lot of the matches that we saw yesterday. And there you go on your screen.
Oh my. We have Priest versus Mage. Wow, Mage seems to be making a comeback.
Yeah.
Wow, well, it's 3 out of 4 players are bringing it. Hunter, for obvious reasons, and then we have a Druid.
Oh no.
For obvious reasons, but these have matched up in mirrors, which is interesting because I know a lot of times, at least when the Hunter being played, is oftentimes you keep the opposing Hunter in mind.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, and Brian Kibler.
The Druid deck excites me.
Brian Kibler does have that Druid. He did pick it. Could be pretty interesting.
I have a feeling it's much more normal Druid.
Yeah, we can dream though.
But I mean, if he wins the first 2 matches and he brings a wild Druid deck and then just relies on another deck, it's just like, you just have fun.
Yeah.
With it, so.
Yeah, but definitely looking forward to see this. It's sort of the Mage. We've sort of seen 2 sort of similar styles of mages so far. But again, even if they were similar, they still had quite a bit of differences.
Sure, exactly.
And we'll see what Xiao... He didn't bring Mage yesterday, did he? He had Shaman, Hunter, and...
He had Shaman, Hunter, and I think he had a Druid deck.
Okay, yeah, so a completely different deck. And it's crazy to see one day between these two matchups, and yesterday we only saw one mage, and Silent Storm did okay with it, but it fell flat on its face at least one time. And then today, almost every player is bringing a mage, at least so far. So
no one was bringing rogue though.
Nobody's bringing rogue.
That seems to be the missing class here. No one knows how to recuperate after XiaoGz has been nerfed.
Yeah.
And it's been nerfed into the territories of Starving Buzzard. Was like it actually just costs way too much to be effective anymore. So perhaps we can see a rogue comeback post GVG.
Yeah.
For now, we're not crossing our fingers for anything. Plus, we've also had our fair share of everyone playing rogue, so it's like, all right, we'll hold off on that.
Yeah, well, if you look at the nerfs, the 1-2 Gadgets and Auctioneers kind of seems to be the worst because that rogue deck is, I mean, it's not solely based around that card, but so much of it revolves
kind of is.
So much of it revolves around drawing cards from Gadgets and Auctioneer, and delaying that one turn is huge, whereas Warlock and Hunter, where we see the Soulfire and Flare nerfs, their whole deck isn't based around that one card.
Right.
So they can still play them really efficiently, especially Hunter, who some Hunters only brought one Flare, which doesn't really affect the deck much at all. So it definitely affects Rogue the most out of all three of the nerfs that we saw, and I'm sure that's why we're not really seeing it today or yesterday at all.
All right, so the first match that we have today, Priest versus Mage, that one's going to be interesting. What kind of Mage is XiaoGz bringing? Was he inspired by Silent Storm at all? And is he going to bring the Giants Mage? Let's find out. Game number 1 is about to begin. Let's jump to the mulligan screen and see what's in store. Wow, that starting hand from Priest. I mean, Brian Kibler approves. I mean, that's, other than having coin, it's pretty much as good as it gets.
I would say so. And I briefly saw Counterspell, Sylvanas, and a Water Elemental in the hand that Xiao actually threw away.
I mean, this seems to be a Secrets Mage.
Yep.
And I don't know if it's a wild prediction or not, but I see the Kyrantor Mage. I see the Mirror Entity in hand.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think he's just playing a value-oriented mage that just happens to have secrets.
Here's something interesting, too. If Brian Kibler plays Northshire Cleric and XiaoGz passes, and then next turn, like, Brian Kibler just, like, chills, and then XiaoGz coins Kyrantor's Mirror Entity, that actually copies the Injured Blade Master. And fun fact, Mirror Entity, because it doesn't activate its Battle Cry, if it copies an Injured Blade Master, it's already at full health.
Oh, wow, okay.
Did you know that?
Yeah. Well, no, I didn't know that, so fun fact. I've never seen that interaction happen, actually, in a game, so... and also, he would... Well, no, so he wouldn't get the extra card draw from healing it, though.
Okay.
Since it would already be spawned at full health.
Well, this is interesting, because now XiaoGz, it's like, well, do I want to give a card to the Priest? Backer was like, why thank you? Yes, why thank you? I mean, the Holy Smite's also a great alternative to deal with the early threat, and now he knows, like, okay, there's no way this is a freeze mage.
Yeah.
It's definitely going to be slightly more aggressive.
Yeah, next turn, he's with the Injured Blade Master Circle of Healing, he's going to be able to draw 2 cards now if that's going to be his choice. And then if he plays the Loot Hoarder, he's going to be able to trade into it as well, but...
Yep, this is just too good for tempo.
Oh, wow.
And now, like, Mirror Entity will give him a 4/7, but how does Brian Kibler respond to this now? Does he try to Circle of Healing first to try to test for a counter spell? Ooh, now that he drew Wild Pyromancer, that's actually an interesting concept too.
A lot of things to think about here for Brian Kibler. Because if he just goes ahead and goes with the play that he was going to be making at the beginning of this turn, if the Kyrantor and the Secret hadn't been played, then he's going to be looking at a board that's scarier than his own.
He does draw 2 cards, and the nice caveat is that it's very difficult to remove the Injured Blade Master on both sides, but he's about to get the bad news as Mirror Entity, and it's going to be copying a 4/7, I believe. Oh, it's not. Oh, you know what? I'm completely wrong then. I guess the Battle Cry happened first, and he draws an extra card. Well, that's actually really good news for Brian Kibler.
Yeah,
I totally got you. I was actually testing your Hearthstone knowledge, and you failed.
Well, that's why I said I didn't know. I was like, I don't remember that ever happening, but I believe Frodan. I put my trust in him. But, I mean, either way, it's still going to be a 4/7. Just this way, he draws one more card.
Here's another question, then. You know the piloted mechs that drop a random creature that costs a certain mana?
Yes, I do.
So, if it drops in... No, it can't happen, because the Injured Blade Master is a 3 mana cost card. But say it did.
Okay, say it dropped 3 drops.
Right.
Okay.
then it would come out as a 4-7.
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, so in this hypothetical scenario, which will never ever happen.
So I guess the mirror entity, I don't know. In all situations, I think it would make more sense.
There's no, don't just leave me.
Okay.
Save yourself, Azuma.
Goodbye, Frodan.
Well, he's not playing around mind control tech. He's just gonna push, and this is where it gets a little difficult. But he has Shadow Menace, and that's an excellent card to 2 for 1. And that is bad news because this mage deck, as much as it's really cool, also relies on card draw with duplicates, arcane intellects, and mirror entity. You require like that extra cards potential.
Yeah, you can see already that he's sort of running out of cards here.
And Priest is sitting on a lot.
Oh yes.
With no clear advantage.
Well, better than nothing, I would say.
Sure. I mean, but he's still got a long way to work because Brian Kibler is sitting on a pretty fat card advantage, and he's got ways to drag it out.
Yes.
Right? He's got Holy Nova plus the Pyromancer. He's got ways to heal and draw cards. Still rather inconvenient at the moment because he doesn't want to take unnecessary damage on this Injured Blade Master. That's essentially his only card here at the moment.
Yeah, he's going to have to get a lot of value later in the game on some of those key secrets if he's going to want to have the damage to be able to finish this game off, because it seems like Brian Kibler just has so much in his hand right now that's going to allow him to stabilize and allow him to stall out on the board, and there's just Xiao's going to be sort of top decking every single turn now because what he has in his hand is not going to carry him through for very long.
Do you have to use a Fireball here?
Oh, jeez.
But then you're playing off curve. But then Mirror Entity means you're going to be taking 2 extra damage on your Injured Blade Master, which since you can't heal, puts it in Holy Fire range.
Yep.
And then that's it.
Yep. Yeah, it's just a really rough.
Like you lose your only minion at that point. XiaoGz is in a terrible spot here. Yeah, I think Fireball is your best chance. You just need to preserve this, but you know, it's nice consolation for Brian Kibler. Like, well, you know, at least he doesn't have any more Fireballs.
Yep.
Now he can just shoot down and like whittle away, because he knows that this Akanai can't get cleared by a Fireball anymore.
Yeah, still though, I mean, it's not the worst situation for Xiao because this Injured Blade Master is going a long way.
Oh. Yeah, and then this was, I mean, Xiao might have to just play a tempo game too. Oh, but that's not a minion that he can play on the curve.
Oh god, this curve kills me, Frodan.
Yeah.
Please, please curve.
Gosh.
That 1 mana wasted. That's 1 mana that that Xiao's never gonna get to see again.
Yep, Brian's perfectly okay with playing this because if it's Mirror Entity number 2, he just Holy Novas. And yep, that's gonna shut down another 2 cards here.
Yeah.
Unless he finds an alternative, if he wants to use
he can just Thought Steal,
Circle of Healing, and draw more cards.
Yeah.
Jeez. You can save that Holy Nova.
Wow, okay.
Oh, that's a lot of intel, too.
Yeah, Undertaker, Mad Scientist, he knows that. Well, I guess he saw the zombie chow earlier as well, so.
Yeah, he doesn't need to draw more cards, too. I like keeping the circle with the Akanai.
Yep.
Very clean play from Brian Kibler.
I think that's a really key draw for Xiao here, to draw into that Arcane Intellect for that card draw.
Maybe not right now. I think right now you might drop the Sludge Belcher.
Yeah.
Whatever you pick off the Arcane Intellect might be strictly weaker.
Yep.
You only have 4 mana left.
But still, to have that in your hand for the next turn is going to be a really big deal for him, just because he's just running out of answers. Staring at a priest who has 7 cards in his hand can be a really scary thing.
Well, you are the faster deck.
That's true.
So that's what makes it pretty scary. Funnily enough, Brian Kibler has also taken the combination of cards that allows him to buff the Undertaker to be a reasonable threat.
Yeah. But at the same time, Mad Scientist not going to be the best card. It's going to provide additional threat, and of course, like you said, provides a lot of insight into how this deck is built. So even after this game, if he faces this deck later on in the series, once we get to that blind pick phase when these guys can recycle and reuse their decks,
sure.
That could be a pretty big deal.
Yeah, I think he wants to draw first with Power Word Shield. Picks up perhaps another Death Rattle. Wild Pyromancer. Interesting.
So going to be pretty good in combination with Holy Nova. That's.
I think he's wondering in the back of his mind his opponent might have Flame Strike, and then he's easily giving away his card advantage.
Yep.
So I think he's going to hold on to this. Not to mention he does have Holy Nova already, so that's also some AoE.
And what do you know, Frodan? There's the Flame Strike.
Alright. Arcane Intellect is going to pick up 2 cards which are important because it fishes cards throughout the deck here.
Yeah, Mad Scientist is actually going to be a pretty big deal since he doesn't really have much card advantage at this point. Being able to get the extra value from it, the 2 cards, getting the secret at this point is going to be a pretty big deal. So I'm sure he wants to get that out there as quick as possible. We did see a counter spell earlier on. I saw him throw that away. So Heavy Secrets Mage with the Death Rattle. He's got Counterspell Mirror Entity. I'm not sure, did we see the duplicate?
I don't know if we've seen duplicate yet, but we have seen 2 mirror entities, like you said.
Yeah.
There could be a possibility of counterspell. I don't think there's another secret that's in rotation too, but the Chinese have always surprised. Maybe there's a Spellbender or something in here too.
Spellbender.
You never know.
Yeah. Spellbender for those the Holy Smite, and then you'd still be left with the 1/1 after the Holy Smite. So it'd be. If the Holy Smite targets a Spellbender, you're still left with the 1/1.
Oh, you're right, you're right. I have never actually heard the attack animation of a Spellbender, although I've seen some wonky plays with like in Arena where it's like Blessing of Kings and it turns into like a 5/8 or something like that. 5/7.
Yeah, it's a crazy card that you really only see a lot in Arena, and you take Spellbender when there's like no other choice. But it can still be a good card, and it's a secret that nobody really expects, especially when you're going to buff up your own minions. So. Oh, this is going to be a great Holy Nova turn.
Yep. Guess he can heal up and draw even more cards since he's starting to get a little bit low. I think he wants to heal first, right?
Yeah, either way. I mean, he's going to be drawing a couple cards, but either way he's going to be sacrificing that.
Drawing 2 cards versus 1 card.
Yeah, I don't think there's...
Oh, right. We forgot about the secret that's being played out. So then he tests immediately for counterspell.
Yep. Still in a good position though.
So that was a first test to see for duplicate then, right? And he saw it wasn't, so he knows it's counterspell.
Yep. And starting to run pretty thin on cards, and I mean, you just sort of putting that loot hoarder out in hope that the priest doesn't have Cabal Shadow Priest. Double mind control.
Oh man, do you mind control this Undertaker?
Yes, you do.
That's one way to deal with an Undertaker. I don't think I've ever seen that before, though.
Well, he's only got 1 card in his hand. What else is he going to throw out there? Kirin Mage with no secret in his hand. And that? So he didn't have any more secrets. Because his Mad Scientists...
Oh, it popped the counterspell.
Oh, yeah. The Mad Scientist was a Thought Stolen Mad Scientist. It wasn't on Xiao's. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, this is it's just an awkward situation here. I mean, I guess you just throw down the Lothep, because what else are you going to do this turn?
I think you also play Kirin Mage.
Yeah.
There's no reason to hold on to it. It's also a 4-attack creature, which is harder to deal with.
Yeah.
And your opponent can't play spells.
Yeah, and you know that if you draw next turn, then there's nothing that you're going to have in your hand that you're going to be able to play along with the secret, so you're not really worried about sort of saving the mana.
Mage is fighting back as best as he can. Brian has to think about this too, because everything is slightly inconvenient in terms of costs.
Yeah.
If Akanai gets played, he can't kill off Lotheb. He only can kill off the Kirin Tormage. But that also means if Lotheb trades down, he can't do the 2 extra damage to Lotheb body.
Yeah.
So this is definitely an awkward position here.
Yeah, and he's gonna actually. Oh, he's thinking about throwing that Injured Blademaster out there. Oh, he does.
Yeah, and this is where Flame Strike becomes pretty powerful. But then that's where Mind Control number 2 becomes really powerful.
Oh,
and
no.
It's like, what? I mean, Brian Kibler was expecting this to a degree, and now that Undertaker's out into the field, like, all bets are off. You can just use his Mind Control again. And then, like, now force your opponent to respond. Even if he has Sylvanas, which is sometimes a common include. Ooh, actually.
Yeah, I think probably Thought Steal, see what you get, and then Holy Fire. Because what other bigger creatures are there gonna be in this mage deck? I guess Sylvanas would be the only choice. Rag.
Yep.
Could be an option as well.
This is hilarious. We're like turn 14 or round 14 here, and it's going to come down to Zombie Chow versus Undertaker, as if it was turn 1 in this game.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about. Like 4 turns ago, Brian Kibler had like 8 cards to 1 or something like that, and just these value cards coming out from the mage, just keeping him in the game.
It's a pretty big card though to draw Sludge Belcher.
Yeah.
That's even bigger card.
Oh.
And you can protect the Sylvanas as well. But I think Sylvanas is like a 3rd mind control.
Yeah, it is.
Because he hasn't even hit Shadow Word Death yet, by the way.
Yeah, he knows. Well, he probably should just throw in some mind control techs here as well, you know, just to get the full effect of it.
And then Cabal Shadow Priest.
And 2 Cabal Shadow Priests. We haven't seen Cabal Shadow Priest. I'm sure he's running.
Faceless Manipulate on your Sylvanas.
Yeah. Play against a Shaman, Thought Steal, and Reincarnate, and a Sylvanas.
So the quality of draws here favors the Priest, right? If you're the Control Priest and whatever we're top decking.
Yeah. Especially since, well, yeah, I'd say so. He's already been through both mind controls, though. I wonder what late game threats Brian Kibler actually runs in this deck. Because it is the control heavy Priest, so could be running Rag. Ysera is a possibility as well, while probably not as likely. Oh, and there's one of the deaths, so he is going to be able to deal with something scary that he throws out, or be able to steal a minion with his Sylvanas that he throws out on the board this turn. So this is going to be a big draw for Xiao here. He really needs something that's going to help keep him in the game, and he draws the Sylvanas. Oh no!
He's like, well, he doesn't have mind control anymore, right?
Yeah. Well,
it's like actually he does, dude.
Yeah.
And you don't have any more fireballs to take his Sylvanas.
Do you hold on to this? What would you be keeping it for? If there's another creature on the board so you can protect it?
You have second Sylvanas, which has priority in stealing, so if he plays another injured Blade Master, or it actually doesn't have that, but if he has like Dark Cultist, you could take it.
Yeah.
Or force like a 2-for-1 where he has to trade both minions into Sylvanas.
Yeah, and it would mean if he did have the Shadow Word Death, he would have another creature to protect.
Ooh. This is not an easy decision at all.
He's got to expect that the Shadow Word Death is coming soon. I mean, they've been through so much of their decks at this point, but he goes ahead and
holding
plays
one card.
Yeah, that's true.
He's holding one card, and Brian still has, well, he only had 8 cards left in his deck. Both these guys are down to 8 cards each. And this is just so painful because Priest, ouch, will be able to take such a commanding board lead, not to mention that he's going to be winning in the Fatigue Wars always because Priest can heal 2 versus Mage's 1 damage.
Yeah.
And he has Counterspell.
And he has Counterspell. That's just the icing on the cake here.
At least it's not Mirror Entity, right? Because I think he was also worried about, like, well, what secret could it be? But it couldn't be Mirror Entity because it was like, oh, actually, he had 3 Sylvanas.
Yeah. You know, this just sort of feels pretty bad here when you just have to play a Water Elemental into knowing it's just going to be killed, but he has to just try and stall out the best he can. But it's just looking really grim for him right now.
Yeah, definitely. Like, there's actually no way for him to get through the Sludge Belcher efficiently. He has to crash the gates every time. He's taking 8 damage per turn.
And even if he draws into
Chow is so useless now.
Even if he draws into like a second Flame Strike, it's going to be useless because we know that it's a counterspell, and I'm sure he knows that it's a counterspell as well, because he tested for Mirror Entity and he knows his own secrets, or at least he should know his own secrets.
I like that XiaoGz is sticking the game though, just to see what.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got so much information now. It's like 2 mind controls. Like, surely if I had a Zoo, I could blow him out because he just plays too slow, right?
Yeah. He knows that he could definitely capitalize early on, especially if those mind controls came into Brian Kibler's hand earlier. Well, I guess the first one was pretty early, but...
Yeah, definitely. No!
Okay.
Man. You could just continue disarming him.
Do you steal the
zombie for sure. I mean, it's just more damage. How are you supposed to kill it without second Flame Strike?
That's true.
Heal up the Sludge Belcher, and you keep this as extra burst to finish the game. XiaoGz needs another Flame Strike.
Oh.
Close, but
almost as bad as Undertaker.
Oh, it's worse. It has less. It's
when you're top decking it.
Oh, I guess you're right.
It's got one more health.
But I was just saying that there's a high likelihood that you have another Death Rattle as opposed to spell.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Undertaker has greater potential. It scales to like a 4/5 so many times I play against it.
Potential intensifies.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh man. Well, XiaoGz Realizing that this is over, game 1 goes to Brian Kibler as his patented priest deck, or priest skills rather, has been able to carry him through game number 1. Brian's been very vocal about how he enjoys priest, but he's also looking about changing it up, and that's where I'm going to be looking to see what he can do in game number 2 with Hunter vs. Hunter.
Yeah, and this is a pretty crazy mirror matchup at times. A lot of it comes down to, well, we said it earlier, who can get overwhelming board control first, and the taunts play a big deal. So I think, well, we haven't seen these guys' decks yet, but who can put in those extra cards that are going to really make the difference. 2 flares as opposed to 1 is a big deal in the Hunter mirror, and the Hound Masters can be a big deal, timely Hound Masters as well. And I'm curious to see what type of Hunters. And then we're going to see 2 mirror matchups in a row.
Yeah, Hunter vs. Hunter, Druid vs. Druid. You know, how do these guys build their decks specifically to handle the mirror? Because when you build a Hunter deck, you often have those anti-Hunter measures, right?
Yeah.
You run flares, or you're running flares at all. You have to imagine so if there's no bans and Hunters available to play.
Yeah.
Not to mention that you often see those Yetis, and you know that way you have something to do on curve and it's powerful.
Yeah.
I'm also looking at the Druid mirrors to see, you know, who's the one playing the more aggressive one. If there's a more mid-range slow version, then you're able to take a lot of the tempo and initiative.
Yeah. And it's the Druid, you can almost predict what a lot of the cards that's going to be in your opponent's deck, but there's a lot that goes into at least the early game that can change, like the Echoing Ooze and the Shade Naxxramas. But going into the Hunter matchup again, we actually didn't see any flares in the Hunter decks that we saw earlier. We just didn't see them, but they could have very well have been in the deck. We'll see how much that 2 mana flare cost now has affected it, and if that's going to play a part in this series. We saw yesterday that the 1 mana flare and the 2 mana flare would have made a big difference in one of the matches that we saw. So we'll see if that's the same case today, or what these guys are going to have in store with these Hunter decks.
Sure. Let's go into game number 2 and see if XiaoGz can even it up with his Hunter deck. We saw some cool tech in it yesterday. Meanwhile, we don't know much about the Hunter deck from Brian Kibler, as you know, I actually haven't seen him play it much on stream before.
No, yeah, he definitely goes for that priest a lot of the time, and lately he's been playing a lot of that Dragon Druid that we saw earlier. So, and what cards do you think are the big swing cards in the Hunter matchup? Like, what cards do you think really make the difference in a mirror matchup against Hunter? What are you looking for really early as a Hunter player when you're playing against another Hunter?
Well, I think you're looking for Undertaker and ways to kill Undertaker.
Oh man, that's in every matchup. You're looking for an Undertaker.
Sure.
I'm talking about like turn 4, turn 5-ish.
Specifically in the mirror matchup, I actually don't mind keeping an Eagle Horn Bow, so that way Undertaker can be kept in check.
Yeah.
You know, being able to have an early response through a trap, like through Mad Scientist, is also important because you seize the tempo. Really, what I'm looking for are cards like Sludge Belcher. I'm looking for you know, Yetis / Hound Masters. I'm looking at Stranglethorn Tigers and Kodos, and that all means the top end of the deck. The beginning half we always come to expect, it's Undertaker and Death Rattles.
Yeah.
It's all about how he closes out his deck. I think, in my opinion, that really defines the mirror matchup, because those are ways you can have comeback mechanics.
Yeah.
This includes also some mid-range concepts like Unleash the Hounds with Knife Jugglers on turn 5.
Yeah.
Or you know, whether or not he even has simple small additions, like I know Firebat and his team was like testing out Timberwolf or a Direwolf Alpha, so that way you can play on curve and still buff your Unleash the Hounds or Sneak Traps, so that way you can trade a little more favorably and seize the board. So these are all the concepts that we'll be keeping an eye on.
Yeah, and also Web Spinner now can drop the GVG beasts.
Oh yeah, Garzilla.
Yeah.
Will we get to see a GVG beast and have a little teaser for next weekend?
Yeah.
I would be ecstatic if that was the case.
Yeah, we'll be seeing a lot of Web Spinners, I think, in this next matchup. We might even see Web Spinners inside of Web Spinners, perhaps inside of more Web Spinners. So
I've seen it before.
I've seen it before.
For sure.
The infinite loop of Web Spinners. So looks like we are jumping into mulligans here. So don't see any Undertakers there, Frodan.
Well, not yet, but there's still time. This is the mulligan phase. The annoying thing is that, at least for Brian Kibler, those are cards that you'd rather keep. While XiaoGz has a pretty strong curve. Whoa. Alright, well at least he's got something to do on turn 1, but man. XiaoGz has the dream. He just has to pick up one more like Death Rattle minion.
Oh, and there's those signature Sea Giants in Xiao's Hunter deck. So especially in the mirror matchup, I think this Sea Giant's going to be able to come down pretty early in this game.
So Brian does have a silence on the Undertaker, which is really good. And then I guess you trade on the Beast. This could be really big and swing, depends on what Beast they get. Direwolf Alpha is actually great.
Yeah.
Captain's Bear is not so good.
The cousin to the Hunger Crab. Parrots and
very
crabs.
Awkward cousin.
Yeah.
That doesn't really talk much at Thanksgiving.
The cousin that you're wondering how they even ended up in your family in the first place.
Well, he's a loner, man. He has interests outside of the Beast family.
Yeah. He listens to The Cure 24/7.
Well played.
Oh. Yeah, I think the Direwolf Alpha, it's a little bit better than getting like a later game Beast, because in Hunter sometimes you can get overwhelmed early on, especially if your hand is clogged.
Yeah, for sure.
So
I like Direwolf Alpha.
Yeah, I really do.
It's even reasonable to drop right now. Oh, well, he's got Mad Scientist. Never mind. Mad Scientist, what's Leopard Gnome is the play here.
Yeah, you want to get that Mad Scientist out before you draw into secrets that are going to be in your hand. Well, I guess for Hunter it's not really that big of a deal, because you can control the secret that you're going to be able to get with the Mad Scientist.
Yeah, but you just generally don't want to draw the trap.
Yeah.
That's also a bad draw here for XiaoGz. He's got 4 dead cards. Oh my goodness, that's so painful. The amount of dead cards in XiaoGz's hand is too damn high.
Yep.
He's got 4 cards that are useless for this turn.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe he's playing a Captain Greenskin, and that Captain's Pirate will.
Oh, you joke, but D2 actually did that in BlizzCon qualifiers.
Well, it's I don't know. I think Captain's Greenskin could have a place in. It's like the opposite. It's like the opposite of Harrison Jones.
Yeah, I guess if you put it that way.
He's got the same body, same cost.
Sure.
But then again, Harrison Jones is like the ultimate counter to Captain Greenskin at the same time. So
sure, makes sense. Okay, we have Knife Juggler in hand, so that improves significantly.
Oh yeah, especially with that Snake Trap.
Oh, we've ignored the possibility of Sea Giant this turn.
Wow.
Look at Brian, doesn't know how to respond.
He's like, what?
Quickly forgot about how the Haunted Creeper actually increases the number of minions on board. He's like, oh.
Okay, now I know what we're doing with there. Yep.
Well, he's got Unleash the Hounds and Direwolf Alpha too.
I'm gonna bring the Sea Giant back to Brian Kibler Gaming. Talk it over.
Nice, well done. I mean, I'm actually kind of floored that this Unleash the Hounds is actually going to be pretty strong.
Oh yeah, well, what trap is this? Oh yes, Spectator mode feature.
Snake Trap.
Snake Trap.
Check this out. This is how impactful Direwolf Alpha. He's going to kill off this giant for free. Well, not free, but like you essentially get what I mean.
Yeah, yeah. The ultimate counter to the turn 5 Sea Giant, turn 4 Sea Giant.
Oh man, it doesn't even have a beast anymore to go for kill command on this Yeti, and he takes a significant life lead. He has to trade in order to benefit, in order to impact the board, but there's Snake Trap out, and that means High Main comes down safely. This is a disaster for XiaoGz. Oh no, man.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have his own Unleash the Hounds. Imagine if he had Unleash the Hounds with Knife Juggler. Then it's like he swings it back.
Yeah, Snake Trap is okay, but I mean, Unleash the Hounds would have been just perfect in this situation. Fits that curve so nicely. You mentioned that right before we went in the game, that turn 5 Knife Juggler and Unleash the Hounds is just so big in that mirror matchup. And again, this is just where it gets to that point where your hand is a little bit clogged, and yeah, this is just.
Yep. Brian can just race. He drops the High Main. He's ahead on board. This is where going first actually really does matter for mana-wise, too, because you played the threat first.
Yeah.
And he is looking at lethal next turn if his opponent didn't do anything.
Yeah, a lot of the time when you are going second, when you are on that coin, you're the one that's playing reactive. And that can be a big deal sometimes. Unless you can gain a significant advantage early on by being able to have like a bigger Undertaker or being able to have access to more mulligans.
Oh. Brian's laughing because he's realized he definitely won on that totem pole, getting the better beast. You know, the juggles on the High Main might be okay because he takes off some of the power on the board. Although this is still Snake Trap, right?
Yep.
Okay. Starting to get a little awkward here. He's going to kill off one of these 1/1s instead. Pick up some value. Alright. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. That's 10 damage. Right, oh, 11 on board.
Yeah. 13 with hero power.
Now he's just going to push through because he doesn't actually have to attack and activate Snake Trap.
Yeah, and this is sort of the inconsistency of Snake Trap right now, especially in the mirror matchup. It can just be played around so well. That draw was actually really crucial because it denied the Snake Trap from having to proc that turn, which would have got juggles and oh yeah, that was a really big deal.
Or Iron Beak Owl of some kind. And XiaoGz is
he concedes
done.
out. Wow.
So that's game 2, and Brian Kibler jumps out to a very early lead. He's won the Hunter Mirror. That leaves the Druid Mirror for XiaoGz, and we're looking at our open bracket heroes dropping very quickly in their first games of the series.
Yeah, and last week that definitely was not the case. Our open bracket guys made it pretty far in the tournament. Max actually made it to the next week, and oh man,
D2.
No, it was
Phrase.
Phrase, yeah, Phrase was actually made it to the second winners round as well. So this week they're struggling a little bit, and I mean you can't speak to how crucial that Direwolf Alpha was in that situation, being able to deal with that Sea Giant just right as it was dropped. That could have been a real big problem if that had lived a couple more turns.
Sure, makes sense. I mean, just one turn.
Just one turn,
yeah. Hitting the face and getting that much momentum on your side would have been crazy. But again, I thought, like we were saying, man, that Direwolf Alpha was such a big deal. And being able to get Brian Kibler back that momentum and board control. Now we go into our third matchup, and we apologize. There was a small overlay error. We accidentally copy-pasted on both sides. XiaoGz brought Shaman again for today, which I'm okay with because Shaman is great. And now that we don't see a Druid Mirror matchup, I think I can wake up a little bit because I was like, oh, Druid Mirrors. Well, I guess he got Wild Growth. Oh, he got Wild Growth. Oh, he has
Sweet.
He has Innervate.
The most fun you've ever had in Hearthstone is watching a Druid Mirror matchup where they both have the best curve. Let's watch them trade their mid-range creatures back and forth.
Yeti on Yetis.
Yetis on Yetis. That would be a great title for a movie.
Yeah, I know exactly what you were thinking about, man. And, I was like, are you going to go there?
That would be a great title for a children's movie with cartoon Yetis, where they have a big family and they sing. That's what it would be. But yeah, man. I think this will be a little bit more interesting of a matchup. We saw Xiao's Shaman quite a bit yesterday, and I was actually really impressed with it. Not quite as impressed as Silence-Storm Shaman, but still, he did make it through with the winners bracket finals for a reason.
Yep, he did. And now he's here, but he needs to win this game or else he's eliminated. Let's go into game 3 and see if Brian Kibler can close it out or XiaoGz starts bringing it back with his trusty Shaman deck. I'm looking at this Druid, and I'm saying I really hope it is what I think it is. But if Brian Kibler is playing Haunted Creepers and Shaded Next Rammus, I won't blame him.
Yeah.
But if he's playing Malygos and knows Dormu, I'm going to be like, yes, this is the best game ever.
Maybe Brian Kibler is so confident in his Priest and his Hunter that he said, you know what? I know that I'm going to win those first 2 games.
Please, Brian, just one time. Nope. I see Savage Roar.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Brian, son, I am disappointed.
We can only dream. We can only dream. Too bad.
Shaman, talk to me about this matchup here, Zuma.
Okay, it's going to depend a lot on how well the Druid is going to be able to curve out in the early game, in my opinion. And the Shaman, a lot of times Druids struggle to gain back board control once they lose it. And especially against the Shaman, like Priests have great ways to deal with it with Auchenai Circle and with all that AoE, but Druids just don't have that. And so they have to be able to put on the aggression early on to sort of put Druid on the clock who can't gain any life back and make it so that burst combo late game is actually going to be effective. But if the Shaman can really control things early on, I think it's going to be hard for the Druid to get back in. The one thing, though, if he's playing that mid-range type style, those sticky minions, those sticky mid-range minions can actually be really tough for Shamans to deal with. Because eventually they're just going to run out of removal, or the removal that they have is not going to be able to reach to like 5 health or 6 health creatures like Yeti or Spectral Knight.
This is a really poor start for Shaman, though. They wanted an early 2 mana cost minion to play.
Yeah.
They wanted to protect their board. Now he has to use Rockbiter to kill half of a card. And he's still going to lose his board.
Yeah.
This is not a good start at all for XiaoGz.
He's got a lot of reactive cards here. He's got a lot of ways to deal with things that the Druid is going to be able to put out. The Black Knight in particular here, but I mean, you can play around Black Knight pretty easily as well. Actually, he's got Defender of Argus.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at Black Knight being a big swing card in this matchup because Brian Kibler's not anticipating it.
Yeah, Black Knight is not a card that's commonly seen in a lot of Shaman decks.
Gosh, this is how much he has to value his board.
Ouch.
Brian's like, all right.
Well, thank you very much, good sir.
Cool stuff, cool stuff. On the same side, Brian's not exactly like the happiest dropping keeper here, but he's getting board control.
Yep.
And to him, it matters a lot. Now, we realistically could see Drake into Druid of the Claw into Black Knight.
Yeah. And
then, oh man, he's got some Drake spell power stuff. So
next turn could be a huge swing turn for Xiao here.
Almost certainly will be unless he chooses to swipe.
Druid of the Claw feels better just because it fits the curve more, at least to me.
Even if he swipes, his opponent's just going to Azure Drake and Lightning Bolt and still have the mana for Fire Elemental next turn. So
pretty big stuff coming in for Xiao.
Yep.
His early game was pretty weak, but
so was Druid's.
Yeah, Brian Kibler just didn't have. He's got a hand chock full of just weird and awkward curves. I mean, in the ideal world, this would actually be a pretty good curve. Druid of the Claw 5, Black Knight 6, if they play a ton, and then Ancient of Lore on turn 7. But this is not a perfect world. Far from it.
No, definitely. So now this Lightning Bolt does come out, and you know, Keeping the Grove did absorb a lot. Ooh, Innervate is interesting here.
Yeah.
Oh boy, I think we're about to get some real bad news for Brian.
Yes.
If it comes down to taunt mode, Shaman might run away with this game. Because that certainly will go in taunt mode. Oh wow.
Oh no. At least he gets a shade out, but still, this is going to be pretty devastating for him.
I mean, the mana curve was perfect for this very moment, just in case.
Yeah. How fast can Xiao play that Black Knight? He knows that there's not going to really be any more taunts in this deck, because usually when you see like that shaded Naxxramas, Druid of the Claw is most of the time the only taunt that you're going to find in that type of Druid deck.
Yeah, but this is where like one of the scariest moments for Druid is, because as much as you Ancient of Lore, which is one of the better cards that you can ever ask for, this is where they can leverage cards like Hex and develop something else. Doomhammer's a great draw right now.
Yeah, it's going to help put the Druid on a clock here.
Yep. I mean, he's got 2 ways to burst now in the following turns. He's just going to play Mana Tide Totem and take this a little bit slower, but he's starting to run away with this game, and look at how much impact
And he drew the Taunt Totem as well, so that's even going to do wonders in protecting that Mana Tide Totem, at least from the shade. Even if he hadn't drawn that, it would have been a really tough choice for Xiao to be able to make. Does he get the shade out now? Because he's going to start running out of win conditions really fast here.
Brian Kibler's got a combo to clear this.
Yeah.
Or does he... Clear? Yeah, to clear.
No, that's only be 20 damage to face after he...
Only 20 damage.
Only 20 damage to face, yeah.
Wow. If he didn't have the Taunt Totem, was there any realistic possibility of him going for face? If he had swipes, for example?
Judging by his hand, if he had other cards in his hand, then maybe, but...
Sure.
With double Defender of Argus, Haunted Creeper...
Oh, man. Now, I think Brian Kibler's about to return the favor. If XiaoGz goes for the Alakir play.
Yeah.
He's really scared of Harrison Jones. But he's not thinking about Black Knight! You can't play around everything.
Yeah, he has to be thinking about Black Knight, though. Well, there's... Oh, I mean, it's pick your poison right here. Do we play Doomhammer and risk the Harrison Jones, or play Alakir and risk the Black Knight?
What's more likely to happen now that Hunter and this is like a lore ladder style tournament?
Yeah.
A lot of people are running more Harrison Jones than Black Knight because it has higher impact against Hunters and Warriors if you're running this format. And now Brian's like, yes! There's justice after all.
Yeah. Not quite as big of a swing as he had against him.
No, he lost half his health in the process.
Yeah, but still, it's going to allow him to set up a board. He really needs a board to be able to set up those Echoing Oozes, but Defender of Argus and Echoing Oozes is actually a pretty good combination, because you can still get that second Taunted Ooze and taunt up something else as well.
You realize those are going to be 3-4 Oozes, because you can double taunt them into 3-4s.
Oh my goodness. Defender of XiaoGz, then Defender of XiaoGz, your Defender of XiaoGz.
He's already used both of his Azure Drakes, so the highest he can get is to get a Spell Power Totem and roll high on everything. So
very true. That would be really tough to deal with.
Definitely.
That's a powerful turn, actually, now that I think about it. And these turns are actually... Oh, he's got double Defender of XiaoGz as well.
Right. He's playing it a little bit slower, realizing he wants to build up his own board. And now we have a good old Defender of XiaoGz battle. I mean, I feel like this is similar to, or reminiscent of earlier times in Hearthstone, because back in the day, this was all what it was about. Defender of XiaoGz value when it was a 3/3.
A 3/3, that was ridiculous. It was almost an automatic choice in most decks.
Yeah, I guess you're not afraid of Black Knight anymore because you can tone up this Spectral Knight.
Both these guys are just having really strong
Pretty
turns here.
Draws.
Yeah, and this could be the beginning of a turnaround for Brian Kibler here, because these are some really powerful turns that he's going to coming up.
I mean, you don't have to double Defender here. I mean,
hey man,
you can keep one combination as like a build your own Feral Spirits in a way.
It fits the curve better. You know how I like my curve, Frodan.
Yes I do. Yes I do.
Alright, well...
kill off Zombie Chow, kill off the Taunt Totem as well. And the Spectral Knight seems to be a very reasonable play, just because it won't die easily. Even if he Lightning Storms, he still has to roll high on everything, and then...
Well...
Okay, here we go. A couple of conditions have to happen here. He has to get Spell Power Totem first.
Yeah.
Spell Power Totem would make his life that much more easy. Like just because now he has to roll... he doesn't have to roll low on everything.
No.
Okay. But you know, Brian knows what time it is.
Yep.
Time to get your raincoat. Right? A mixture. But that's enough to clear the board.
Brian Kibler really likes the affirmative head nod.
I think he rolled high on enough, though. Like, the fact that he rolled high on the Spectral Knight is a pretty big deal. Also, the fact that Defender of XiaoGz went down, too.
Every time Brian Kibler sees a play, it's like he knows that it was already going to happen. That's his reaction.
I think it's more of like a, okay, you know, I know I can come back from this. You know, it's not so bad. All right. Well, it's time to just go all in here. Both players are just committing as much as they can. He plays his own Feral Spirits.
Show me the oozes.
Lightning Storm number 2? Oh, that would have been crazy. Back-to-back Lightning Storms would have been back-breaking.
Zombie Chow is a little bit of a liability here. Because you're running out of cards. You've already been through both your Azure Drakes, so that's your card draw.
Maybe, because it is another body, though, that you fill out your curve, because I feel like Doomhammer... Well, I guess maybe Defender's here better, too. If you Defender, then you can start pushing through a little bit more effectively.
Yeah. Well, how is he going to be able to finish out this game, though? He's already been through both Rock Biters.
Yeah, it's not going to be burst. It's solely going to be through board control at this
point.
point.
So maybe the Zombie Chow is probably the better choice here.
He still has Fire Elementals that he hasn't drawn.
Yeah.
He's used both Azure Drakes, Alec here, and this is Doomhammer, none of his Rock Biters. So he's got Fire Elementals and he's got Lightning Bolts. Those are his main ways to grab back the board.
Only one Lightning Bolt. He used one earlier in the game, so he's got a Hex left as well.
Right.
But...
Yeah, I like Doomhammer here because you can use your life as a resource. He's already used a combo. He's at no cards. You really need to start working here. Plus, the longer you wait on Doomhammer, the more likelihood he might even have Harrison Jones. Like, this is the best time to use it.
Yeah.
That's not a bad draw, honestly.
Yeah, I would say that's actually pretty good.
Until he gets Lightning Storm.
Well, he already knows he's been through one, but Lightning Storm is like the bane of Shade of Naxxramas.
Right.
I'm always really greedy with my Shades. I don't treat them like they're a 3-drop. I always want them to be more than just a 3-drop.
I mean, they're great in Lotheb. You can save them for your Lothebs, and in combination, that's a really powerful thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Not in the late stage of the game, though.
I always have way too high expectations for like Shades.
Lightning Storm would be crazy here. XiaoGz.
No.
still say you use it.
Yeah, you can't really afford to hold on to that because there's no guarantee that he's going to even draw into something that's going to be a better target.
But you know what? He doesn't have the mana to do it. I think this is
better he's now. Overloaded from the Doom Hammer from last turn.
Exactly. If he could use all his mana to do it, I think he would.
Yeah.
Oh man, he's got to pay it forward too. He's gonna have to kill off the Spectrum Knight with his weapon.
Yeah, in every turn that he doesn't draw into to Lightning Storm, it's just gonna be a turn that Shaded Naxxramas. He's only gonna have one more turn to draw into that second Lightning Storm.
Brian's like, okay, that's fine with me.
That's his reaction to everything. He's fine with everything.
Oh wait, is that lethal?
No.
Hold on, combat math time. I can't think as fast as Brian Kibler.
No, he can only do 3 damage to the face, or 6 damage to the face. I mean.
Okay.
He'd have to use the hero power to clear out the healing totem.
That's right. That's right. But either way, it's
still a really big board swing when you know that you're just fighting for top decks against your opponent. Huh.
Actually, it's really funny that
preserving the Harvest Golem is actually.
I feel like that healing totem was actually a big deal. If it was anything else, that's not which I would have died a 1-tree in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just calculating here. You hold on to the shade, by the way, right?
Do you? Probably. I mean,
because
he still has a Savage Roar left in his deck.
Yeah, now it's like out of Lightning Storm range. It's because, well, no, it still is in Lightning Storm range. Guess he doesn't.
Wow.
He's gonna make it so that way if he wants to pay life. Oh, oh gosh, that is so titillating. Good lord.
Rolling high here actually would be pretty good because he either has to preserve the 3 damage or preserve his Defender of Arcs, and he got it!
Yep.
Wow!
That's a pretty big deal.
Yes. And he's got the Taunt Totem as well, so he's actually going to preserve 1 health each of these turns from the hero power.
I mean, he's still very weak on board. That's a great draw at the moment, but I mean, it's going to bait out the Hex.
Yeah.
What's important here is Brian Kibler also gets past his Taunt Totem.
Yeah.
Because then he can easily use like Druid the Claw to start putting on pressure again.
Yeah.
XiaoGz does have Hex, but Hex will cost his entire turn here.
Can we look to see how many cards they have left in their decks here? Oh, yes. Spectator mode. 9 cards and 10 cards. So
still plenty of time. And Ancient of Lore is just like another big draw. Druid of the Claw is massive.
Oh, he's going to put him on 1 health. So he's going to need like a Taunt Totem this turn.
You charge this?
Oh, yeah. Definitely charge it.
Keeper the Grove and Swipe now become lethal.
Yeah.
Spell Power
Spell Bar. What is it going to be? Taunt, that's okay.
It's okay, but you give up your Argus.
Well, actually, no, he needed a taunt because either way, the hero power would have killed him next turn. So that's best case scenario. He didn't want Spell Power.
You are correct.
Oh, well, he stays alive another turn, but there's so many win conditions. A Haunted Creeper not going to do it.
Well, if his opponent doesn't roll a Healing Totem, this Taunt Totem will fall next turn, and then he has to hope to roll it again.
Oh, wow.
Still comes down to a few choices in coin flips. 2 back-to-back Haunted Creeper draws.
Oh, he needs...
No, he didn't get the Healing Totem. He still has 1 more turn, though.
I don't think he does.
Oh, you're right, because
he can't kill off those Spectral Spires, yeah.
Uh-oh. So that's going to mean Brian Kibler 3 zeros.
Wow. And he goes ahead and realizes that there's no way for him to win this game. And takes that 1 damage to the face. The killing blow from the Haunted Creeper hurts, but Brian Kibler's going to move on.
Yeah, you know, the fact that he was able to press in for the win there is often very Shaman-esque to do instead of Druid, but well played.
Yeah.
And a 3-0 over XiaoGz, one of the stronger players I felt like from the Open Finals. It's well done. And now we go into Lothar versus Brian Kibler for round number 2. That's going to be happening later, but we're going to go through the round of 8 first. Any thoughts on the closing of that series?
No, I just thought Brian Kibler played really well. A lot of those games, we saw very impressive performances from Xiao yesterday. And I mean, he played as well as he could today, but Brian Kibler was just on top of his game, and especially that Priest. Always really impressed with Brian Kibler bringing out the Priest. But definitely looking forward to Lothar versus Brian Kibler. Lothar, I mean, you said it well yourself. He's had some rough performances in the past, especially in the recent past, but recently he's had time to focus up, and it seems like he's turning over a new leaf, getting a fresh start, and really coming into this tournament swinging.
Absolutely. Well done. Our next matches will be D2 versus AP Drop, and that will be coming up right after this break. In the meantime, we want to give a shout out to our sponsors. That series is brought to you by Newegg, as well as Western Digital and Crucial. Check out esl.gg/Newegg Esports for all cool kinds of promotions based off our sponsors. Yeah. We're going to be back right after this with more action here at the Hearthstone Legendary Series. Stay tuned, guys. We'll be back right after this.